It's a pleasant evening as well, whatever you're doing. If you're going to the Gateshead International Stadium for the Athletics League, very nice watching the runners there. And overnight it's close again. The temperatures, they're not going to be any lower than 10 Celsius. That's 50 Fahrenheit. And like last night, the odd patch of mist forming in the Vale, in the River Valley, very low cloud, but come the morning, it'll go quite quickly again. And I think we're in for another fairly nice day. Any cloud that's around, there'll be the low stuff to begin with, and very high cloud later on. But everywhere basically staying dry. And the temperatures into the 70s again inland, but near the coast, just that little bit cooler. Thursday is mainly dry and bright. We were still looking for rain overnight.
Hello, I'm Jake Lynch.
And I'm Andrew Friend. Welcome to our Teesside News Centre.
Tonight, a police officer relives the moment car thieves tried to kill him.
That was a deliberate attempt. They've deliberately pulled around the corner, waited for me, and then just reversed back at me.
Also back into battle, the veterans marching into a planning row.
Help for the hospice, why the carers are calling for more cash.
And turning the tide, the scientists predicting a slight change in the weather. But we start tonight with news of two brutal attacks. In a moment, we speak to the police officer recovering in hospital after being mown down by car thieves. But first, the attack on an 86-year-old woman in the bedroom of her home in North Yorkshire. She's now in hospital in Harrogate, having been woken by raiders who repeatedly punched her in the face and left her bleeding in the room which they locked. The attack on the woman, a retired doctor who fled from Germany to escape Hitler's persecution of the Jews, has shocked police officers. Tonight, they revealed they're questioning three men in connection with the incident.
The face of Dr. Vera Mayer as she recovers today in Harrogate District Hospital. Her cheekbones smashed in the inhuman attack, cuts and black eyes caused by the repeated blows of the two men in balaclavas who woke her at her home sometime after midnight on Monday. In the 1930s, Dr. Mayer, along with her late husband, had fled from precisely this kind of savagery when Hitler's terrible Holocaust began in Nazi Germany. For 60 years, she found peace and safety in Britain until now.
Well, I've never come across an 86-year-old woman who's been subjected to a beating like she has for no apparent reason. What I mean by that is that when an 86-year-old woman is woken to be confronted by mass intruders, I think quite honestly if they'd have asked her for items in her house, she would have handed them over without any violence being necessary.
After snatching £200, jewellery and 3 boxes of dangerous drugs, including morphine, the raiders cut the phone wires and locked the injured and bleeding doctor in her bedroom. It was 6 hours before she managed to raise the alarm.
She actually tried to him, and by banging on the window, she actually attracted her upstairs neighbours.
But it's not the first time Dr. Mayer's home in Harrogate's Leeds Road area has been burgled. 2 years ago, £15,000 worth of family treasures were taken in broad daylight, and last winter, what few valuables remained were taken as well. It was the last break-in which forced her to fit iron bars to windows and special security locks. This morning, Dr. Mayer's purse was found in a nearby garden. 3 men are being held at Harrogate Police Station following raids.
We've made 3 arrests this morning, but at this stage, whether they are connected to her burglary or other burglaries that night in Harrogate, I can't say.
Doctors at Harrogate Hospital say Dr. Mayer is comfortable. In the meantime, detectives are asking for anyone with information to contact them.
Meanwhile, detectives are treating as attempted murder an attack on a Cleveland policeman who was deliberately rammed as he chased a stolen car. PC Stephen Darby has undergone emergency surgery after the car reversed into his patrol bike and carried him 15 yards along the road. Graham Thompson reports.
34-year-old PC Darby is recovering at North Tees General Hospital. He's had a steel plate inserted into his wrist, which means every tiny movement causes considerable pain. Today, the Billingham policeman spoke about his ordeal. He was on duty on the A19 when he received a call about a stolen Mercedes and started a 100-mile-an-hour pursuit.
It was a stolen vehicle that was pursued from the Billingham area up to Peterlee. It took in a small industrial estate in Peterlee. I don't know the name of the industrial estate. The car pulled away from me slightly and went out of my view on a left-hand bend. As I came around the left-hand bend after it, it had stopped in the middle of the road. So I came up behind it, braked, but unfortunately by this time he reversed at me at speed, hit the front of the motorcycle. So obviously, as far as I'm concerned, it's obviously a deliberate attempt.
The officer was knocked off the bike and dragged along the road. 3 men abandoned the Mercedes and made off on foot. They got away in another car and were later spotted trying to break into a house in Sunderland. Police are still looking for them.
Well, I've been involved in pursuit situations, obviously, but never anything as calculated and determined as them. That was a deliberate attempt. They deliberately pulled around the corner, waited for me, and then just reversed back at me. Obviously, in a desperate attempt to get away.
Although still shocked, the attempt to kill him hasn't put him off law enforcement. And although it'll be months before he can go back to work, PC Derby says he's determined to return.
A report from Graham Thompson. Now, a group of veteran paratroopers went into battle again in Darlington today to support an old comrade in a planning row. It was half a century since some of them had seen any action, but as Luke Casey reports, the do-or-die spirit that's made the Red Berets so famous wasn't to be dimmed by the odd twinge of rheumatism.
Perhaps the marching left something to be desired, but the pride was still there, and the guts that got them through some of the toughest campaigns this century. Today the target was Darlington Town Hall, and for once at a public inquiry, campaign medals were going to speak louder than sheafs of paper. The row is over a car wash that the Heron Group have built on their filling station in North Road. The trouble is that it's right in front of the bedroom window where former paratrooper and war hero Billy Innes lies seriously ill.
It's had a lot of effect because we had a nice little life for each other, although he was in bad health. We have a little garden at the back and we had that patio, and that he could go out in there without me being with him to sit, not to work, he can't work, just to sit. But if I take him out, I've always got to be with him. And they have taken that little garden and that patio away from him because there's no way he can go out there for exhaust fumes.
Darlington Council says Heron have built some of the car wash complex in the wrong place and some without permission. The inquiry was to hear the company's appeal, but the paras were more concerned about their old buddy Billy Innes than the dry legal arguments.
He served his country as a volunteer, as were all these men in the parachute regiment, all volunteers. Billy was a volunteer and served in North Africa, Sicily, and finally at Arnhem, where he was wounded and taken prisoner, and escaped, and took prisoners, and had a bad time when he was POW. He deserves to have a little bit of peace and quiet in his little bit of garden at the back of the house for the last of his years.
It's not the way we normally dress, except on Remembrance Sunday. And this was really to impress the inspector, that there's a very strong feeling in the town that the Heron Group have perhaps, or appear to us, to have gone roughshod over the people who live there. Little people, big business, going a little roughshod over them.
I don't know the gentleman that put the protest in, but I know he's a bloody good soldier because he was with the 1st Battalion. They got hammered in North Africa, Sicily, Italy, and back at Arnhem. So he must be a good man, he must be worth supporting.
Heron say their car wash is environmentally friendly and they have no wish to cause distress to neighbours. As for the paras, well, their medals weren't earned being friendly, environmentally or otherwise. They told the inspector what they thought, then marched off for a well-earned pint. Compared to parachuting into wartime Europe, this had been merely a skirmish.
And of course we'll let you know what happens. Other news now, and firemen in North Yorkshire are investigating a blaze in which a woman died earlier today. The emergency services arrived at the terraced house in Ripon after being alerted by British Telecom, who'd received a call from someone who said the word fire and then hung up. It's believed the blaze started in a bedroom. The dead woman was 63-year-old Elizabeth Key. A 69-year-old man was taken to Harrogate District Hospital after the incident, suffering from shock and the effects of breathing in smoke.
Still in North Yorkshire, and 2 women have died in a road crash. It happened at the Welburn crossroads on the A170 between Kirby Moorside and Norton. Their car collided with a lorry carrying beer. One of the women was killed instantly. The second was declared dead at the scene after being freed from the wreckage by firemen. There's no word yet on the identity of the 2 women. The lorry driver was uninjured.
Today, Radio North East became quite literally the talk of the broadcasting world after being given the latest slot on the region's dial. It'll be the first speech-based independent station outside London when it takes to the airways in 15 months' time. The awarding of the licence has dashed plans by the Teesside consortium Heritage Radio to run a new station from the Riverside at Stockton. Duncan Wood has been meeting the successful bidders.
A champagne hoedown on board the Tuxedo Royale under the Tyne Bridge was the first priority for the team behind RNE after the Radio Authority granted them the region's latest commercial franchise. Leading the celebrations was Jim Graham, Managing Director of Border Television, who've got a 75% stake in the new station. His TV company already has interests in 3 radio stations, including CFM in Carlisle. But this will be a completely new service.
The mixture of speech and music hasn't been tried to any great extent in Britain, only in London. And we think that that mix is what the North East would like to listen to. You'll find that it'll be of the tone of the Daily Mail. We want people to be able to ring in, to hear conversation, and to hear conversation at sufficient length to get to the end of it. We don't want people cut off in mid-flight. So we think it will be lively. We've got a lot of broadcasting experience, and we'll pay a lot of attention to making this one work.
Radio North East saw off 3 challengers from the region in the franchise battle, but now they've got to take on 7 local broadcasters and 6 national stations in a ratings war. They'll have 2 studios on Tyneside and Teesside, but they're staying tight-lipped about any of their new signings.
We know the kind of programming we're going to do, and there are, I can say, 2 or 3 names who have approached us, and 1 or 2 that we shall be approaching, but it's a bit premature to disclose who they are today.